Well, yeah, we've used photography and videos to create a whole lot of content for our company that's been very powerful and helped drive an incredible amount of interest.
Shooting it raw?
Yes, shooting it raw. So the first photograph, I have to describe it. In it, there are 3 of your workers wearing these orange fluorescent hard hats. You're in a factory. One of the workers on the right is driving one of the small cranes or lift. It's attached at the top. There's a hook, and it's attached to a wall that is being hinged. So it's on a big, like a gigantic hinge, and he's basically lifting up this wall in front of 2 other workers who are talking and I guess sort of in preparation around to secure the wall. And I could see a little bit of, garbage debris in one of the bins. There's like, it's basically inside you're in a factory. What makes it kind of more humane, amusing is, for some reason you have this gigantic, US flag on one of the walls. And in it, there's also an inflatable, Santa Claus, which is just in the background. This is all in the background. And the premise of the picture of the photograph is this in production object that's very complex that looks like it's being unfolded because it's called Boxable. It has something to do with housing. So why is this photograph an important image for the company?
Yeah, so that's back when we were just earlier on in the company. We took this picture. It was during the production of one of our earlier prototypes, and I'm pretty sure that was one of the first few times we actually unhinged, unfolded, folded the house. Of course, that's very important here. Our houses fold up so that they can ship to reduce the cost. So this photo was taken during our prototype building of the early models that we did in our first facility. That was a smaller building, and I guess it was Christmas, and we had Santa in there too. So this, it's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. And this factory, where is this factory? Like this photograph, what's the location?
We're in Las Vegas, North Las Vegas. By the racetrack, the Speedway, and by the Dallas Air Force Base, and it's a 10,000 foot warehouse building where we did most of the R&D and experimentation and testing to get the product figured out.
The only time I've been to Vegas, I'm a Canadian. The only time I've been to Vegas was at the time my sweet darling girlfriend at the time and I drove down from Vancouver in a Mustang convertible, and we went to Vegas and we got married in a drive-through wedding chapel, and that's nice. The closest I've come to you guys.
I'm telling my fiance that's what we should do. She's not interested in the idea though.
It was a magical moment, I have to admit it. But more about you. So, where did the germ of this idea come from?
Well, back in 2017. We started really working on it. The initial idea was my father's to fold up the house to make it shippable. He built many years before that a modular house using traditional factory-built housing, and the shipping solution that they had was just very expensive and cumbersome. And I think the story he told me was he built such a large house, he had to ship a certain amount of room modules, and he actually exhausted like all the permits that the town would give anyone to ship these modules. So it was like, this doesn't work at all. It's not scalable. No one else can ship any houses for a month. So he drew the original folding house, and then nothing really happened with it for many years until we decided to revisit it in 2017. At that time, I was living in Northern California, and he had just moved to Vegas, and we just started working on it. And I ended up just doing a tremendous amount of research on kind of alternative building materials and figuring out the issues in the market and figuring out what our solutions would be and how we would solve all the different pain points and the friction that makes construction slow and expensive. And then, we took it beyond just a full thing and re-engineered the whole building and selected all different building materials. And it really, continued to get more and more traction. And now we find ourselves here about to turn on a really big factory.
Yeah. So, okay. So part of my background is I've worked in many, many different organizations and companies and sectors. And, the common thread is communication, right? So from pharmaceuticals to human rights. And one of them was engineering consulting. And so when I saw what you guys are doing, I thought it's essentially, it's sort of what you described. It's like you're designing a solution that's going to work. So in your case, transporting a house through the traditional means is so costly and difficult. And so you thought, okay, let's deconstruct that and let's kind of get into it in terms of the materials and the design. And so, but that is, I understand how technical that is. And so what's your expertise on the technical side?
Well, initially, nothing. I'm not an engineer. I have no background in building construction, no experience whatsoever. But, I'm a quick study and, my MO is to, learn things and figure out, businesses through, just a lot of research on the internet, basically. But Paolo and Kyle, the other two guys that started this with me, they are both, real engineers. So in the last 4 years, it's been just every day, nonstop research and learning and product testing and all these problem solving, all these different things. So now I have become, an expert on all this stuff as we explored, the marketplace and the issues. And
you sound like an entrepreneur.
Yep. Never really had a job or anything like that. So definitely true.
I'm in Hong Kong. You're in Las Vegas. As it happens, my work has been to work with like a very successful entrepreneur and business leader, right? Who, if you've ever used DHL, he was one of the co-founders of DHL. And for 15 years, I helped him sort of create a model of entrepreneurship, a model of service leadership, really looking at how to build healthy service teams, right? And so when I started reading about Boxable and started seeing about how you guys were emerging, it's kind of like across all the different measures, you guys were clearly onto something strong. And so it's really interesting. So, in the first stage or phases of a company where you guys are taking this idea and this vision of, let's make a house that we can sort of fold up, transport, unfold it, and then create this very livable space for people. And as you work, you're kind of inventing the processes as you go. So describe how you went from that smaller factory to now you're going to this much larger facility, which, I've already read about. But why don't you talk about this new facility and what kind of capacity it's going to be able to produce?
Yeah. So at a certain point, as we, did these various iterations of the product, the different generations of the product, we said, all right, well, we got it. This one's great. This one's what we want to do. And now we need to start building them in a factory. So we, started that process to figure out how we're going to do that. And, of course, it was a tremendous amount of research on manufacturing equipment and all these other processes that we had to figure out. And then there was other aspects as well, like, how do we get the money to do something like this? How do we find the people to help us? So, we slowly navigated all that and made a lot of, good decisions along the way, had a few lucky breaks and, now we're here in a few weeks, going to be turning on production in a
Wow.
170,000 foot building. So that's like four acres inside of a building, and it should produce thousands of these homes per year. And really, we think it's just a start. And a lot of things contributed to that, and contributed to us starting off big, because at first we wanted to take a more manageable bite, which was kind of a smaller factory. But as people found out about the product and interest flooded in, and we got orders, including a big order from the federal government, we realized, all right, we can't start small, because this will we need to become so big. So it's pretty good. We are in a good area here in Las Vegas, where they're putting up tremendous amounts of these concrete warehouse buildings. So we were able to jump into an existing building. We didn't have to wait to build our own building, and it was a brand new building, and we kind of customized, fit out this and customize this brand new building. Yeah, it's been a really exciting journey, and as we've grown and the interest has grown, resources and opportunities have just really poured in. So it's been very exciting, and we're looking forward to starting to sell these things.
Look, let's use that as the sort of the jumping off point to the next photograph and see where we end up. So is life really a gift? Really? Can you make every second count? That's the whole point of the podcast. So if you like what you've seen and you're inspired, because that really is my mission, then please give it a like, subscribe, and share.
Shooting it raw?
Yes. Shooting it raw.